Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. I apologize for being away for so long. I had a surgery that I needed to do, and thank you to everyone who showed support for me while I was doing surgery and healing from it. But now that is past, and I am back. And I bring you my review for the Last Voyage of the Demeter. I managed to watch it, and I am here to give my thoughts on it. This is going to be a spoiler review. There are going to be some spoilers in this film. Because the film has been out for about half a week, and I feel that spoilers are now allowed. So, objectively speaking, this movie has problems with it. Objectively speaking, without bias, this movie does have problems. It has writing problems, which is the main problem with it. The ending is a very big problem with it. You have a couple of plot holes, which, when it comes to the story of Dracula in the Bram Stoker novel, the character or Anna's account of no knowledge of how to kill this creature. I mean, every iteration, people had an idea of how to stop Dracula. And yes, there is the Bram Stoker's Dracula movie from the 90s in which he was not repelled by the cross. He could actually set it ablaze because he once served God in his conquest. However, in every other iteration of the Dracula movie based on this novel, he was repulsed by the cross. And there are a couple of scenes in which, or there is a scene in which the captain holds a cross and affirms his faith, and yet Dracula is unaffected. So that is kind of a wash, in my opinion. I feel that, sure, you could go the Bram Stoker route from the movie, and that is why he is not touched. However, this movie does not give any real background into Dracula. It's not Vlad the Impaler. This is a devilish demon version. I mean, just look at this. Right here. That's Dracula in this film. The Last Voyage of the Demeter is well casted. Aisling Franciosi, Corey Hawkins, Liam Cunningham, David Desmalchin. I mean, you got great people here who played in this film. Nikolai Nikolaev as Petrovsky, and Javier Botet as Dracula, or the Nosferatu. They did very much go with the Nosferatu kind of look, but more of also a more demonic look as well. He's not, or you have the two pronounced fangs, but however, his teeth are just rowed with sharp teeth. I love the look of Dracula in this film. It really does give this is a monster film. This is a film of Dracula at his most primal and malevolent. He can possibly hide with clothes to be a man, sure. But this is very much a very demonic-looking Dracula. And this film does a wonderful job with the practical effects of Dracula. The kills are great in this film. There are a couple of people who give a critique on an anti-Catholic message, because there is a Catholic in this film played by John Brion, who plays Joseph the cook, who is very much spouting religious quotes and whatnot, religious scripture, and how he is very much a devout religious person in this film. However, the second things are starting to get truly terrifying, he runs like a coward and is then picked off by Dracula. You could look at it like that. However, in some ways, You can also look at it as this person is not as devout. He turned his back on his devotion and did not face down his fears due to this creature being on board. You can almost feel it or show it as a cautionary tale of what happens when you turn your back on your faith and do not allow your faith to sustain you. There's that way that you can look at it, honestly. I am not a perfect Catholic, I will admit that right now. However, I do have faith. I would stand against something like this. If it is something that is truly horrifying, but faith can potentially save me, oh, believe me, my faith is there. The casting, like I said, well done. David Dastmalchian as Volchek, he played this character very well. There is Leon Cunningham, in the many movies I have seen him in, especially the one that me and Mara are going to be talking about on Thursday, Dog Soldiers, he does a great job in his roles. He does a really good job in his roles. Corey Hawkins, I'm not very familiar with his work. Let's see what he has done. I think I've seen him in one other film. Yeah, he was the doc in he was one of the docs in Kong Skull Island. But Straight Outta Compton, 24, Rise Up, I have not seen these other things. He did a good job in Skull Island. He was the doctor that had the thesis on Skull Island. But in this, he does a good job. However, I do not like where they went with his character at the end of this film. Spoilers ahead. If you do not want to be spoiled about the end of the film, click off now, watch the film, return to the review. So yes, this movie has him surviving, which is the biggest problem with The Last Voyage of the Demeter. We all know that everybody on the Demeter dies in the novel and in many other iterations. Dracula killed everybody on the Demeter, and he then escaped into London. Except they have one survivor who is now hell-bent on killing Dracula and is essentially now the new Van Helsing character. He doesn't take the name Van Helsing, but he is going to hunt down this creature. And I feel that while the ending is entertaining, sure, I'm sorry, from an objective standpoint, that ending does not make sense. He killed everybody, and yet he showed a great malevolence in doing it, yes. However, he basically is now just playing cat and mouse with this one. No, it doesn't make sense, because yes, Dracula mocks him when they're in London, and he does the knock in London, which they did on the Demeter for distress, to let people know that something is wrong. And yet, you then see that that malevolent smile before he walks by him and then disappears really quickly. The look of Dracula, like I said, is his best look. I like how he is a more prime demon-like figure. But the cross has no sway on him in this film, which bothered me as well. And it also doesn't make sense, because we all know the story of Dracula. He's repelled by the cross. Now, yes, there is the case in Bram Stoker's Dracula from 93, or was it 92? I can't remember which year. But anyway, it's the one that Keanu Reeves, Anthony Hopkins and stuff were in, and Gary Oldman played Dracula very well, where he set across a blaze when it was brandished against him. Also, the people of the village nearby Dracula's castle, how they have no possible knowledge of how to kill him. That also is not something that makes sense. He's been there for generations, and yet no one tried to stand against him in any shape, way, or form. That really doesn't make sense to me. That is kind of just bad writing. However, this movie is directed well, has great cinematography. The digital effects are where this movie suffers the most. You see the digital effects done well in some areas. However, in other areas, it is not as tightened up as it could be. I really do like the primal force of a malevolent sentience. How Dracula, or some people have critiqued that Dracula is contradictory and that he is a more primal force. However, he has emotion. And it's like, he's pure evil. He is a malevolent primal force. There is something that can be primal, yet still have malevolence. There's actually animal studies that have been done where there is a malevolence in animals, even. They're not just killing to survive, they are killing for pleasure. The story of the Ghost in the Darkness, the two lions from Savo, believe it or not, they were actively killing people and not just didn't bother eating every kill. They just malevolently killed. And Dracula, he feeds, yes, he has to feed. But yet, he does so with such malevolence. He smiles when he slaughters people. When he is holding Clemens, when Clemens says, "I do not fear you." And he's like, "You will." I mean, I also like that Dracula only speaks twice in this film. And it's to mock. One person's like, or says, "Please no," and then tries to get away from Dracula, and Dracula's right up behind him. "Please no." Kind of just does a mock before he kills the guy. And then he mocks Clemens with the "You will fear me." Because it really shows that this Dracula is just pure evil malevolence. And he takes glee in what he does, which is to kill and feed. And I really enjoy that sense of evil. This is a monster movie that paints Dracula as the evil that he is. You see the seductive ones in all those other movies with Nicolas Cage as Dracula, with Bela Lugosi as Dracula, or I think it was Bela Lugosi, Christopher Lee, and many others as Dracula, and they are that seductive Count Dracula. Where there's none of that. You're not having that seductive side of him. You are having that evil, killing side of him. And that is brilliantly done. The makeup effects for Dracula, the prosthetic makeup is well done. He progresses in this film as a slightly human, yet non-human looking figure, and you then see him in full demon form when his wings sprout. He has an evolutionary progression as he feeds further, and you can actually see it happening. The writing in which allows Clemens to live at the end, plus this movie really would have had a much better score objectively if they had put in the certain captain's log from the novel. If they had Liam Cunningham reading actual captain's logs from the Demeter from the novel, I feel that would have improved the tributes to other Dracula films and and to the novel itself, in which this movie does say it is based on, or at least the chapter of the Demeter. And I feel that if they had done that, it would have been a lot better. Also, if they had killed off everybody instead of allowing a person or one to live, yeah, that would have it kind of damages the film, because they do the whole we're showing you the aftermath first, and then we're going to go back in time to show you what happens. That's how this movie does. And you get the last or the captain's log, and he says, if this, or he gives you the God help you if none of us survived kind of thing. So you feel that, well, this movie sets up everybody's going to die, yet a person lives. No, that's bad storytelling. Other than that, and the perceived anti-Catholic bit, where a person who is supposedly devout runs away like a coward, again, you can look at it like that, or you can look at it as somebody who abandoned their faith in hopes of survival, and that was his biggest mistake. Other than that, I liked how this film was done. Cinematography was great. Andre Overdal did Troll Hunter and Scary Things, or Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, another movie that I did a positive review for. I really liked that film. You got a great cast here. Stefan Kapachik did a great job as Ulgarin. The kid in this movie, I'm not going to spoil too much, but like I said, everybody except Corey Hawkins dies in this film. And I gotta say, I'm proud of them being so bold as to kill the kid in this movie. I'm not going to say how they killed the kid. All I am going to say, it was really evil. And I feel that it was well done because it shows that not even innocence can survive against such a malevolent evil. Anyway, that is going to be my review. Thank you so much, folks. Objectively, because of the writing problems and the CGI enhancements, this film suffers. Some of the CGI is very well done, however, it's an inconsistent level of CGI. You see where it is well done, you see where it is not. It's kind of balances, but balances more negatively. I will put this movie at a 7 out of 10 on an objective level. This movie is a great horror movie, but it has its problems. Subjectively, this is a 9 out of 10 movie. I enjoyed this movie. Yes, I can overlook the ending. I can always just pretend that all people died, or Dracula quickly dispatches Clemens sometime after the ending of this movie. I feel that the ending, or if the ending had everybody dead, it would have been a perfect ending, and I would have put this movie at a subjective 10 out of 10. I can overlook some bad CGI, but with the writing issues and having a survivor from the Demeter, no. This movie does not get a perfect score. Moviegoer. This movie does have a small pacing issue. It's like, okay, can we please get on to the main crux of the story? Kind of, I did have that little bit of an attitude there. So, moviegoer, yes, this movie is not perfect. It is a 9 out of 10. It's still a good movie. I enjoyed this movie. I do plan on getting it when it comes out on sale on digital and when it comes out on physical media, because I believe that this movie should be a success, even though it's going to flop in the box office. I mean, $6.5 million in its first weekend on a $45 million budget, that's not boding well for this movie. But then again, it was put up against the idiotic Barbie movie and Oppenheimer. So those are apparently two heavyweight contenders. Anyway, folks, that's my review. It's a solid movie, but it does have its problems. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of The Last Voyage of the Demeter? Did you like it? Did you not? Yeah, let me know all your stuff, folks. Stay tuned for later today. I have another video coming out on Gal Gadot and the Snow White thing. And I will be on the Barroom Podcast tonight. No mystery review today. I already have it scheduled for next week. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Have a wonderful day, and always remember, stay humble.